Today we see how one can create a web application in Clojure. This will also be the chance to explore better how a project is structured. Clojure can interact easily with the Java ecosystem, so we have the advantage that we can use well-supported libraries. There are various approaches to start a web application project. The most common is to embed the web server in the application, for example using Jetty. Jetty is a Java library, so to use it more conveniently, one has to wrap it with a Clojure interface. This is exactly what Ring does, maps Clojure data structure to HTTP requests and responses. From the official GitHub page, we can see that Ring is composed of various modules, and one can use just what he needs. At the beginning, a request is mapped as a map in Clojure. This way, from now on, instead of using the Java methods that we can see on the right, we can use keywords in a map. So, a request arrives and is mapped as a Clojure object. Then, our web application will work on it, and it creates a response object. As the last step, update servlet response takes the status headers and body from the response map and it actually maps them to a Java response. In the middle there is an handler. An handler is simply a Clojure function that creates a response from a request. We can see that Ring uses the build request map we have seen before to create a Clojure object, passes it to a handler, and then the response is used to create a response object in Java. Being Clojure data structure, it becomes really simple to make modular application. The main concept to make modular application is the concept of middleware, which is a function that takes an handler and builds another handler. The idea is that we have the main handler that is the one that actually solves our problem. And then we have many middleware that makes our handler a real web application. We start from a project without dependencies and we add all we need. Then we will see a faster way using a template. Using Lane, we create a new project called Basic Webapp, which is based on a generic app template. The initial project is quite simple. We can see that, for example, there is just one dependencies that is Clojure itself. We start by adding the Ring dependency. For us, core is not sufficient, and for simplicity, we add all the modules that Rings offer. In particular, there will be the Jetty one and core, but Ring is a really low-level library. Our goal is to make some routes that the user can reach in the URL. Composure is a common routing library for Common Lisp. Now we can check in and start the REPL. It is downloading the dependency. On the right hand side, we move in a Clojure file. Under src, Basic Webapp, core. We can see that the REPL is already in the correct namespace. We start with a really simple handler. It will ignore the request map and create a constant response. The status code is 200, there are no headers, and the body contains just hello world. Now we want to plug this into a real web application. First of all, we require the Jetty adapter. Then we can start the application using run Jetty, to which we pass the handler and an option map with the port we want to bind. And in a REPL environment, it's convenient not to wait the server to end. Now let's try to run it. If we connect to localhost 3000, we can see that we get as response hello world. In an interactive environment, we should be able to change the code without having to restart the server. But at the moment, it is not the case. The easiest way to stop the server is to restart the REPL. Now we would like Clojure to update the web application when we update the handler. The easiest way is to use the middleware reload. We see before that a middleware is just a function that takes an handler and creates a new one. In particular, our handler is the simple one that just returns a constant response, while the new one will be our handler that is updated when we update the previous one. First of all, we require the reload middleware. Then, to run Jetty, we don't pass directly our handler, but we call wrap reload, and as a first argument, we pass a reference to our handler. It's important to pass a reference to the function, and not the function itself. Otherwise, the reload does not work. Let's define the handler and the main function, and now we call it. As before, the result is hello world. But now, if I update the response, I get the new value. This way we really get an interactive environment. While we update our web application, we can see the changes that we are doing. To make a more interesting web application, we should look at the request and dispatch different responses depending on the path the user has requested. For this, we will use the Clojure library. It has a really simple domain-specific language to define routes. In this case, if we get a GET response to the route, we will return hello world as a title, while for all the other, we return page not found. And now, to wrap reload, we pass directly a reference to app. And for example, this time we use the port 4000. If we make a request to localhost 4000, we get the title hello world. While if we look for another path, the result is page not found. Clojure provides a template to start a new web application. Instead of app, we use len new Clojure, and we call it hello world. In the dependency, it automatically required Clojure and just a selection of middleware that it actually needs. Moreover, it also adds a plugin, len. In this case, app just returns the handler. It does not deal with the web server. To start the web server, we will use the len plugin. Inside the project, from the command line, we run len server headless. We can see that the application has started. And if we reach localhost 3000, we get the usual hello world. If I now change the code, it gets automatically updated. Today we have seen how to create a basic project and what are the main files inside it, and in particular we used some libraries to start a web application. The main advantage of the approach we have chosen is that it's really simple to build an executable. One just has to run len uberjar, and it can be run on a server, simply running java -jar and the path to the jar. Let me know in the comments if you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe.